Good morning, caretakers, and welcome to Caretaker's Corner, where we discuss everything that has to do with caring for your elderly and disabled parents, your disabled spouse, and your adult disabled children. My name is CJ, and I'm here to help you on this journey. And today I'm going to be discussing I think it's the fourth stage of grief, and that is depression. Depression as caregivers are something that we usually have to deal with. On top of the fact it could actually be a situation that your family member is suffering from, and that is why you are a caretaker. But depression is also one of the stages of the grieving process. So we've already discussed denial phase, anger, and bargaining. And so today will be depression, and then next week will be acceptance. And grieving depression is not the same as someone who suffers from depression. Depression with grieving is temporary. It could last weeks, it could last months, but it's just one of the stages of grief, and we all have to go through them on some level. So, as the reality of the loss becomes undeniable, you can no longer bargain your way out of it. You can no longer get angry at it and beat it up. You've just got to accept it. And as we get to that point, deep sadness and grief sets in. This stage can involve feelings of hopelessness, isolation, and withdrawal. You or your family member may be saying things like, "I don't see the point. I just want to be alone." It's important to address the issues of depression and to realize it is just a part of the grieving process. But you have to be sensitive, and especially for caretakers, because we're going through these stages while our family member is going through these stages. So we tend to prioritize their grief over our grief. And that's not something that we can actually do. We can't keep putting our grief and our depression and our feelings on the back burner, because it leads to caretaker burnout, and it leads to us not being effective caretakers. You cannot be an effective caretaker if you are experiencing some of the symptoms of depression here. So we're dealing with depression. Our family member is probably dealing with depression, or they're in one of the stages of grief. And like I said, there is a difference between clinical depression and grief depression. While they share the symptoms, grief-related depression is a normal reaction to loss. It is a phase where the reality of the loss sets in and feelings of sadness, emptiness, and hopelessness become prominent. Key characteristics of grief-related depression: deep sadness, a pervasive sense of sorrow that can feel overwhelming, withdrawal from social, we create our own social isolation, which we do as caretakers anyway. But social isolation, reduced interest in activities, and a desire to be alone. Fatigue and low energy, physical and emotional exhaustion. Once again, on top of everything else, we deal with these on a daily basis also, so we have to be able to realize what is what and that we need to take care of these. Changes in sleep and appetite, disrupted sleep patterns, and fluctuations in eating habits. I can never tell you enough how important it is to get good quality sleep, eat a healthy diet, and get some exercise. You've got to, as caretakers, like I said earlier, we tend to put our own needs on the back burner. And what I have discovered over the years is that's not healthy. And we really need to put our health in the forefront. As caretakers, we're always going to put the needs of those we love over our own needs. But, like I've previously said many, many times over, if we can't take care of ourselves, we can't take care of them. And if something happens to us, who's going to take care of them? I mean, I think about that a lot, because I do have a lot of caretaking duties. And in the event something happens to me, I know there'll be people to take care of Barbara, but I still have my mom and my stepdad also. I know my best friend Robin and I, something we've talked about, and in the event something happens to her, I'm going to help her. I'm going to take care of Melissa. In the event something happens to me, she's going to help take care of Barbara. So we've thought this through. But this is one of those things that we have to think about. And the worse we take care of our own physical well-being, the more that can go to the forefront and be an issue. So we really, really want to address the depression as soon as possible. As soon as we start noticing symptoms, we need to address it. And this is something I did not understand or know when Barbara was diagnosed. I mean, I understand the process of grief in the case of a death, you know, like when my dad died, or when my brother died years ago. My parents and we all went through the grieving process differently. My mom became over-obsessive about my locations, and I want to specify, my brother died when he was 24 and I was 25, so I was an adult with my own apartment. I had 2 jobs. I was going to school full-time. So one day, as a for instance here, on my mom, where she was obsessing with me because there were only 2 of us, biologically, and I was late to work one day, 5 minutes late to work because I overslept, because like I said, I was working 2 jobs and going to school full time, and she beat me to work and was like yelling at me because I hadn't made it, you know, I was late. What was going on? And this went on for actually a couple of years, till she finally was able to work through work through her grieving process. And eventually she calmed down. Now on my dad's side, I found out much later that he had actually he thought about suicide. I did not know that at the time. He had called me and said, which was unusual because at the time my dad and I did not talk to each other unless we absolutely had to. He had called and left a message for me and said, hey, this is my address, this is where my spare key is hidden, and this is the location of all my important papers in case something happens to me. And I did not realize he was actually contemplating driving off a cliff, because it was so overwhelming. So once again, it took him a couple of years and a lot of talking to people to work through his grief. And he did eventually work through his grief and went on to live, well, as you all know, until last year at 73. And my brother died in 99. So, and my mom's still alive, and she has sadness, and we all do. When you think about, when we think about my brother, but we are all in a much better place now with his loss. So it does eventually get better. When Barbara got diagnosed, I wasn't aware that all of the stuff we were going through were the stages of grief. It did not dawn on me that that is what we were doing. Retrospectively, looking back, I know that's what we were doing. I can sit there and I can draw the lines of where we went from one section to another. And now we're to a point where we understand the situation and we are able to make changes as needed. We did all of that without counseling, although we did have our church family that we talked to for some of it. They were there for the very beginning. And And we did end up in a very isolated situation because of Barb's condition being such that she can't go out in bad weather. If a pressure system comes in, it messes her up and she can't get out of bed. Yesterday, as a family unit, we went out and played Pokemon all day and went out to eat, and everybody had a great day. They held up really well, and they're all still asleep now. So even when we go out and do something, we have to take into account everybody's different abilities. My friend Melissa has just been diagnosed with a disease, and we're going through all of this same process again with that, and we'll get there. But we're a lot more. We have a lot more knowledge about the situation now, and about how we're going to go through these stages. And really, I think for most of us, it was worrying about what was going on before we had a diagnosis. So, as caretakers, we need to, for us, all right, like I said, prioritize rest and sleep. Maintain a healthy diet, because if you're eating crap food, you're going to feel like crap. It's going to hurt your energy level, and you just can't do that. You need to have good, healthy food, and I will preach that to the day I die, because maybe in one of my musings one day I'll go through that, but it makes a big difference in your life, I'm telling you. Engage in exercise. Like I told you guys before, I do yoga twice a week. Most weeks. I try to do exercise at home, and I haven't been able to do it lately, but I do go to the gym. Work's been a little crazy lately, so I haven't been making it to the gym. And then I have people I can talk to, and I have a pretty good support group with Robin and Melissa and some folks at work who are all going through the same thing, which is why I started this channel. The big thing is depression is a real issue, and you've got to seek help. If you're not sure whether it's just clinical, whether it's just depression over grief, or whether it's clinical depression, please, for the love of God, seek help. There is no shame in therapy. I have said it 1,000 times, and I will say it 1,000 times more. Breathe in, breathe out. There is no shame in therapy. Seek professional help. You need someone to talk to, all right? Whether it's through a religious organization, whether it's through a medical organization, seek help. Find a therapist, find a support group that will help you, of people that have already been through all this, and they can give you ideas and help you and listen to you. When your loved one is being depressed, listen to them. Don't judge what they're saying. Just listen to what they're saying. If it's available, offer practical help. But don't push it on them. Don't go, you have to do this or that. Give them suggestions. Be open-minded. And let them talk. They're working through this as much as you are. Be patient and understanding. And allow the grieving person to express their emotions. You've got to get it out. You can't hold that in. You hold it in, it will eventually blow up, and that is never a good thing. Let them talk. And if they need it, make them seek help to the best of your ability. And you can't really make somebody do something, but suggest that they see a therapist. Try and get them the help they need. Talk to their doctor about suggesting therapy. And it could be, like in Barb's condition, one of the first things we did was get her on medication for depression, because it is a common side effect with her disease. It's a lot of people with her condition commit suicide, so we wanted to take care of that quickly. All right. Recognizing the difference between clinical depression and grief depression is very important. And a lot of it has to do with the length and severity of the symptoms. If somebody says they're having suicidal thoughts, no matter what, please get them help. You cannot take any of that lightly. All right? Always take suicidal thoughts seriously. If they're saying they're having them, or if you think you're having them, seek help. Now, I'm going to put a couple of resources down in the comment section on a pinned comment and in the description of this video. And if you all know any for your local areas, please put them down in the comment section, because you're not the only one that's going through this. There are millions and millions of people that are going through this every day. And depression, even if it's, depression needs to be taken seriously no matter what the cause. And everybody needs to seek help for that. Even if it's grief depression, you still need somebody to talk to so that you can work through it. So I'm going to leave out on the note that says, please get help if you are feeling depressed. Definitely get help if you're having suicidal thoughts. All right, and I am not a medical doctor, but I will tell you that you do need to seek help in those cases. So sorry about ending on such a serious note, but I love each and every one of you, and I hope to see you back here next week, where we're going to go over acceptance, which is the final stage of grief. Have a beautiful day, and see you next week.